Hey guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And in this video, we're going to talk about budgeting mistakes that most people make and how you can avoid them. Okay, so here I am. I'm in my car, Mr. Business. That's what I've named it. Leave a comment down below if you've named your car. I named it that because when I bought it, my mom said, that looks like a car a businessman was driving around, because I guess it's like a no-frills plain car. And I said, yep, that's Mr. Business. That's my car. All right, here we are. So we're going to talk about common budgeting mistakes. Number one is not tracking your spending. It's a very common mistake. If you don't know where you're spending your money, then it's very difficult to stick to a budget if money is flying all over the place. So if this is overwhelming to you, try picking just one category to track. For instance, dining out. How much money are you spending every month with eating out? That can be convenience stores, fast food, restaurants. You have to know where it's going. So track the spending, and like I said, start with one category if you feel overwhelmed by this. Next is not having a realistic budget. If you've set a budget, you've assigned different categories, but maybe you are putting way too much into one specific area, such as saving for emergency. If you need an emergency fund, but maybe you're taking way too much money every month and putting towards it, so then you're finding that you're not able to pay for your electric bill or for groceries, or you're overdrawing your account. So you want to make sure that your budget that you're setting is realistic. What is this? This is my hoodie strings. Tuck that in there. Next is ignoring non-monthly expenses. So as I'm filming this, it's the beginning of the year, and a lot of times things come due beginning of the year. For example, I do have a AAA membership, and the annual dues every January come out. So if you just ignore or forget about that, you run the risk of possibly overdrafting your account, or missing the payment altogether, or messing up your entire budget for the month. So you have to remember there are certain things you have to pay annually or biannually or quarterly. Perhaps you have a certain expense that's due quarterly, so you have to budget for it. And what we do is we have an accrual in our budget every month. So if I have a certain thing that I know that we have to pay quarterly, that amount of money gets set aside monthly into a separate account, so that way, or bi-weekly, every time we get paid, I just take that total amount that's due for the year. Say, for example, the AAA membership. We have a family membership, I think it's like $120-ish. So you take that $120, if you were gonna do this, then you would take that amount and you would divide it by 26, because you get paid 26 times if you're paid bi-weekly, and you would put that amount of money aside in a separate account, and then it would be sitting there ready to go when your annual bill came up. Some people pay for oil or for propane annually, or biannually. So again, you just have to know what that is. Don't ignore it. Try to remember all the things that you pay that are not specifically monthly. We're going to do a separate video later on talking about sinking funds, which is what this refers to, having an account set up on the side where you put money to pay for things that come up in the future. Next is failing to account for inflation. Make no mistake, inflation is a thing. Costs of goods are rising, and they rise every year. Housing prices go up every single year. I mean, inflation, it doesn't go away, okay? This is a thing. You have to factor that into your budget, your plans for the future, that, college costs are rising. They're not likely to go down. They're likely to go up. So if you have children, this is something to keep in mind, that it's going to cost more in the future than it does today. So you want to make sure all of your projections for everything that you're saving for, all your financial goals, take into account inflation. Next is not budgeting for fun items, okay? You don't just think that you're going to be hardcore on everything. You don't need to have fun, get everything that's fun out of your life. And trust me, I used to be this way, so I understand. And that was a mistake, because you need to have some downtime, some fun things built into your life, so don't forget to budget for it. Next mistake is not having an emergency fund. No emergency fund at all. This is a big mistake because emergencies are going to happen. So you want to have money set aside in order to cover those costs when they come up. So if you don't have an emergency fund, then go ahead and get started building one up. Or if you feel that your emergency fund might be too small, then take the time to calculate how much you need to be putting in there to beef it up to where you feel more comfortable. Using credit cards as a backup. Credit cards, love them or hate them, You don't want to use them as a backup. It's not part of your budget. So credit cards can be useful in certain instances, as I've discussed before, but if you are in debt, you're trying to get out of debt, you have credit card debt, you can't pay off the balance month to month, then you don't want to be using credit cards as a crutch, right? So that's not part of your budget. That's not your emergency fund. If you do look at it that way, you're looking for hurt. You're looking for trouble in all the wrong places. Next is not reviewing your budget regularly. We talk a lot about flexibility, how it's important to review things. You have to look at it, make sure it's still working, that you have all your categories set up correctly, the amount of money you have budgeted for certain items is not overfunded or underfunded. You have to actually take some time to look at it. And if you look at it every day for 5 minutes, that's not a lot of time, and it's going to really save you a lot of heartache down the line if you realize that you haven't budgeted correctly. Not prioritizing debt repayment, right? On my channel, if you're watching my channel, you know that I don't like debt. We don't have debt. I don't think that it's something that anybody really should have to experience in their life ever, having crushing debt. It is so painful, stifling, and so make sure that you see it for what it is and give it the respect and attention that it deserves, and get it out of your life if you can, as fast as possible if you can. So it might be really tempting to just pay the minimum on your debts, but that's not going to get it out of your life. So you have to try to focus on that debt and put as much as you can to it to get it out. Because once it's gone, you don't have to think about it anymore. And then you can move on to putting your money towards other things that are much more fun and also more satisfying. Setting up unrealistic savings goals. Okay, so if you're like, I'm going to save, whatever the amount is that's unrealistic to you. Maybe it's, I'm going to save $100,000 in the next 3 months, which is awesome if that's possible, but for most of us, probably not, right? So you want to make sure you're being realistic in the goal you're setting for yourself, so you're not just setting yourself up for failure and disappointment and possible slide back into bad ways because you're upset that you're not reaching your goals. So be realistic in how much money you can actually save when you set out to set your budget. Ignoring the small stuff, right? Coffee stops or Wawa stops. We like our Wawa here on the East Coast in the Philadelphia area. Hoagies, they're a big deal. But if you're doing a lot of hoagies, if you're buying hoagies every day or every weekend, that adds up. So don't ignore all those small items, little things that you're buying that they can become big ticket items over the course of a month. So again, maybe tracking that spending to see what you are doing, and maybe you want to cut it down a little bit, but don't ignore it. It is significant. Don't be like, oh, that little scratch off lottery ticket that I buy every weekend, that's no big deal. But if you add up all the money that you spent over a year on scratch off lottery tickets, it could be very significant. And maybe you want to think about investing that money instead of putting it towards a lottery ticket. The next mistake is not setting clear financial goals, okay? You have to have clear goals so that you know what you're working towards. It's hard to save money or to budget or to try to get out of debt if you don't have an actual goal that you're working towards. So make sure you set it, you make it clear, you write it down, you share it with your partner, with your friends, so that you know what you're working towards. And then letting perfectionism get in the way, right? None of us are perfect. Here I am filming in my car. This is not perfect. This is not the setup that I really would like to have, yet here I am filming a YouTube video in my vehicle in Mr. Business, doing my business here. That doesn't sound good. Okay, you know what I'm saying. So you don't have to be perfect. You're gonna make mistakes, and it's okay. You're gonna mess up the budget. I say this a lot to you guys, it's all right. The important thing is that you can move forward. You have to continue to try. Every day is a new day. Every day the sun's gonna rise, and you're gonna get up, and you're gonna get out there, and you're gonna try to hustle and grind and make money and pay off your debt and get your money in that savings account so you can build up a savings account. It's okay, you can do this, right? You can do this if you keep trying, you don't give up, and you don't let these setbacks, completely set you back and crush you and make you feel dispirited. I mean, life is painful. Life is not always exciting and not fun every day, and it's not supposed to be. And I think that that's what gives it meaning, and that's what helps us all to feel, honestly, to feel happy when we have challenges and we are not always comfortable. Like, you have to force yourself to be uncomfortable, to have growth and to feel satisfied. And, so it's not always going to be pleasurable. And I don't think it really should be, but that's not what this video is about. Sorry. But anyway, so you can do this. So just continue to work at it and you're going to reach your goals. Now, if you would like to read about this, I posted an entire blog post on my blog at debtfreedana.com. So I'll put a link down below it in the comments if you would like to read through this, not just hear me talk in my vehicle, then that's perfectly fine. And I just recently posted a video talking about the 5 common budgeting method. So if you would like to watch that video, you'll go ahead and click here. And if you do, I'll see you there. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.